Hey there, friend. Lisa, the love coach here. And today we are getting into breaking free from a trauma bond. We're going to get into why you stay, why it's so hard to leave, and how to finally break free. So, a trauma bond, as you know, if you're watching these videos, looking up what exactly is a trauma bond, you know that it's an emotional attachment to someone who repeatedly hurts you, manipulates you, neglects you, and you still feel this intense connection to them despite their awful treatment. And you find it impossible to walk away, although you know you should and want to, but you cannot. And so this isn't about just bad judgment, it's about a cycle of emotional abuse that creates a chemical, psychological, and spiritual hook. So it is almost a form of addiction. So you are addicted to this person. And so it is very, very hard to leave. So let's get into the first point of this, the chemical addiction. And before I get into that, let's just get some housekeeping done. At any point in time, if you want to go get your free LoveLife Assessment, you could go on over to my website, lovequestcoaching.com, and get that completely for free. It's a great tool. It helps you get more clarity for your specific situation. So let's get into it. Chemical addiction. This is the emotional highs, the love bombing, the affection, the flooding your brain of dopamine and oxytocin. It's the highs and lows, the highs and lows. The lows are the criticism, the neglect, the withdrawal, the triggers of the stress hormones like cortisol. You're all feeling anxiety and just out of sorts. There's no peace. Okay, and it's a push-pull cycle. 1 minute they're totally in love with you and everything is great, and the next minute everything is blowing up. And so you end up having this thing of almost like walking on eggshells. You're just trying to keep the peace, trying to keep everything all good, because at any moment it can pop off into an argument or into a withdrawal. The other thing with this is number 2, intermittent reinforcement. So intermittent reinforcement is not knowing when you're going to get their love again. They give you crumbs of love and then they pull back. They give you more crumbs of love and then they pull back. So you end up being trained to work harder to prove that you're lovable, that you're worthy. You're trying to prove that you are worthy of their love, worthy of their attention. And this is what ends up leading to a codependent narcissistic dynamic where you are chasing, proving, trying to get them to see your side. If only they would be different, if only they can see it, and they don't. And so your brain now is bonded so intensely with this person because the rewards have not been consistent. They have been unpredictable. It's a high-low unpredictability that makes you get more and more attached. The final thing is fear of abandonment. So this is when I get into inner child work, reconnection, and reparenting even with my clients. So what I do is help them to address the root cause, the root fear that's lurking beneath, that is driving them to continuously be in these types of relationships with these types of people. Okay, so the fear of abandonment thing is very, very important because it's a belief where loneliness feels more scary than staying in pain. You'll hear people say, well, hey, it's the devil I know, right? I know him all these years. I know her all these years. This is just the way they are. And it passes. It's like a storm, like a hurricane. It blows through and then you know it passes. And your nervous system ends up being attuned to chaos. And this takes a toll on your health. This takes a toll on your mindset, on your overall well-being. The next thing to talk about is loss of identity. Over time, you become who they need you to be. You lose yourself entirely and you're not your authentic self. This is when we'll hear people say things like, I don't even know who I am anymore. I don't even look the same. They erode every bit of your authentic self. And so if you're watching this and you're saying, oh my God, this is me, this has been my relationship, I want to get out of this, and maybe you did get out of it, but you fear getting into another trauma bond with someone else, then let's connect. Head on over to lovequestcoaching.com. The link is in the description. Get your free Love Life assessment. It's at least a tool where you can get the clarity about your specific situation with the tips, the checklist, the things to do to move you forward. And the thing is with this, it's like there's such an identity piece with this. I do a lot of identity work with the people who come coach with me, and they say, it feels as if I'm losing a part of me. It feels as if like you're an amputated limb, like you're still having these phantom pains of them, but they're not even in your life anymore, and you don't even know who you are without them. So then the other thing to know about breaking trauma bond and having a trauma bond is the addiction to hope. Now, this is the thing that's going to keep you in it and keep you stuck. It's this constant addiction to a fantasy. It's clinging to a fantasy of who they could be if only they just tried. If only they just tried. And then you get into an argument with them and they say to you, okay, I'll do better. Okay, I need to change. They agree with you, but they do nothing about it. And so then you mistake these crumbs, these little crumbs of kindness, for proof that they can actually change long term. And they cannot. And the hope becomes your prison. You end up staying focused on the potential instead of the reality. And it keeps you stuck. I know people in these types of relationships for years and years, and finally they break free with my help. They start to see reality. They start to see your complaints are valid and you don't have to be in this anymore. And then it becomes how to get out. So let's get into, before getting out, understanding why the addiction to hope keeps you stuck. Number one, you replay the good moments just to justify the bad ones, right? You're thinking, I have to break up, I have to end this relationship, I have to exit this marriage, but you keep replaying all of the good, and there is good. Can't discount the good. However, you can't let it inform your decision to stay or go. You have to base your decision not on the good, but on the bad. Number two, believing the apologies and the promises for change, even though history shows otherwise. How many times are you going to allow someone to betray you? How many times? Are you the type of person who just eats shit? You believe you were put here by your divine creator to sit and eat shit for years and years and years? You weren't. You aren't. This video is your permission to get the fuck out of this relationship because it's not good for you. So take this video that you found very serendipitously. My content is out there, but it is not ones that get millions and millions of hits. This came to you in your feed for a reason. Heed the message. You tell yourself, I love them better if they would just become the person that I know they can be, because you're living in a fantasy land. You're living in a fantasy of what you wish they could be instead of understanding who they truly are and then accepting that and making a decision from there. Accepting who they are doesn't mean stay. Accepting who they are means I see you for what you do. I see you for your actions, and they are not aligned with me. I respect myself and I love myself too much to be treated like this. And you make your arrangements to get out. You have to get out. Ignoring the fact that years may pass and nothing changes, and the only thing that does change is your own emotional health. You end up sick, you end up not sleeping right, you end up with digestive issues, skin issues, cancers even. It's just terrible. Do it for yourself. You need to get out of this relationship, and I can help you. So how do you break free? Now that we've arrived to this point, how do you actually go and do it? Like, what are you going to do? What are the steps? Well, for the first step, you're going to shift your thinking. The mindset needs to shift to seeing the pattern, not the person. You keep looking at this person and hoping for them to change, but you ignore the patterns of behavior, and these patterns never switch. They never shift. They never change. Stop looking at their potential. Look at what their consistent behavior is like. If you have had instances for holidays, family gatherings, any important event to you, and they ruin it, that is a pattern. That is part of their character. That is part of who they are and what they do. So see it for what it totally is. You have to look at it for the truth of what it is. Number two, accept that they're not going to change for you. So many people come to me, if he loves me, he would change. If she loved me, she would change. They are incapable of change. Okay, they only change when they want to change. You are not going to be the reason for why they change. They'll say that they love you, and then your dissonance is, if they say they love me, then why do they treat me this way? Because you allow it. You get the treatment you tolerate. You get the treatment you allow simply by being present in it. Okay, if you're in a relationship and you're being treated poorly and you stay, your staying is condonement. You're condoning the behavior simply by participating in it. So the other thing that you need to stop doing is negotiating with reality. Pain is not proof of love. Now, there are many people who have wounded inner children living inside them, wounded inner teenagers living inside them. And these wounded children and wounded teenagers were taught that they had to earn love, that they weren't lovable, that they had to prove themselves lovable, that they were the caretakers for the parents, perhaps, that they had to think and be isolated and alone and stepping up to do the adult things because the parents may have had addictions. Maybe there was alcohol abuse. Maybe there was absenteeism where the parents would just disappear and the kid was by themselves. This inconsistency taught you there is something wrong with you and your parents don't love you. And so you had to prove yourself worthy in order to receive love. This stayed with you through adulthood. Now, I'm not saying all of it. I'm saying there could be parts of this that you're identifying with, and then other parts are like, no, that's not me. But even a tiny bit of this, if it's resonant with you, this is going to trickle into your relationships. It does explain why you're allowing the treatment that you're allowing in your relationships. You need to also reframe loneliness versus solitude. Okay? Loneliness and solitude. You need to understand the difference between the two. Now, the problem is a lot of people who are in these trauma bond relationships, they are massively codependent. And so they don't like to be alone. They don't know how to be alone. But when you have solitude, meaning you go quiet and you end up going inward for yourself and you connect with yourself undisturbed, that's when you get inspiration, ideas. The way out is revealed. And these people always add clutter and chaos to your life so that you're not able to connect to yourself. Connect to really what is going on inside of you and the messages that come to you when you have that moment of silence just to be alone. So what do? Well, the first step is to make the decision that you do want to leave this trauma bonded relationship. Once you've made the decision, then you can start putting your plan in place. Now, one of the things that I help people to do is once they reach that decision that they gotta go, is to put an exit strategy together. And an exit strategy is going to empower you. It's going to make you have a plan so you're not so overwhelmed. You're not so anxious, like, what am I gonna do? You have an exit strategy, step by step by step. You're going to go no contact, right? So now this might be a little bit difficult for people who have children together, right? And they're co-parenting together. I do a separate thing on co-parenting with a narcissist. If you want information on that, connect with me. And again, my contact info and everything is below in the description. But there is a way for you to preserve and protect and fortify yourself. Meaning you need to put almost like a velvet rope around you or a wall around you when it comes to them. And so if you are co-parenting with them, the topic is only about the children. There is no longer discussion about you and him and the relationship. It's done. You made your decision. Learn how to stick to your decision. He had plenty, she had plenty of time to make corrections. They never did. Okay, so the second thing you're going to do is to create what is called a reality list. You're going to write down every harmful thing that they've ever did with no sugarcoating and no excuses. Just write down. Go year by year by year, or go through the milestones in your life, the moments in your life where they behaved towards you in such a way where you were like, no, I definitely have to get out of this. But you never did. Write all of those things down. And then when you start missing them and when you start doubting that you made the right decision to get away from them, reread that list. Let it be the reminder that you did the right thing. The step 3, you're going to rebuild your self-identity. Now, I mentioned earlier, identity work is a huge part of this because when you are used to this type of toxic dynamic, it becomes part of your identity. And now you need to shift into a completely new identity. So let me tell you, getting over a trauma bond, rejiggering your life, reinventing your life after one, it's very difficult to do on your own. You need to do it with somebody who knows what they're doing. I've been doing this for, now we're talking, 10 years? I've been helping people with this exact thing. I went through it myself and I was able to help other people since. So I'm happy to help you. And it doesn't have to take years of therapy. You can go through a process, a program with me, 90 days, and your entire life can change. Who you are, your whole identity begins to change. You go from victim, complainer, anxiety, overwhelm into empowered, clear, peaceful, forward moving, in charge of your life from your adult self. You're not operating as that wounded little girl anymore. You're operating, or boy, you're not operating as that little wounded child, wounded teenager, making decisions from that wounded place. You start to move into adulthood and you start to really see that you are capable of taking care of yourself, of loving yourself, of being better to yourself than anyone ever could or should. And that is when you start to feel that movement and like that, I could breathe. You want to strengthen your support system, right? This could be coaches, mentors, people online that you follow, anybody that's giving you good messaging, people who are active in your life. That's why my coaching, it's immersive coaching. So you have access to me every single day. It's not that it's just you talk like therapy for an hour a week, an hour every other week, and you don't even know what happened. You talk, and then you go away and you're like, well, what happened? This is not that. My coaching is very immersive. It's designed for change, fast change, reframing ideas, changing your mindset about yourself, about others. It is meant for change. Number 5, work with a trauma-informed coach or therapist. So what I do is inner child reconnection and reparenting. What we do is we look at your past, things that happened when you were young, and we revisit, but we change it so that we attend to the needs of those versions of you that they were never attended to before. Nobody ever talked to you with love and kindness and compassion and empathy. You're finally going to learn how to do that for yourself. And it's incredibly powerful. It's the most beautiful, soul nourishing thing that you can do for yourself. Number 6, replace hope with evidence. Ask, what has their behavior consistently shown you? And you make your decisions based on facts, not feelings. The facts are the actions show the truth. The words do not. And so you hold on to that and you keep moving forward and you practice 7th step, self-compassion daily. So breaking free from this takes a lot of courage. It's super brave. It's nothing to shake a stick at because it's going to unearth all of the things that you needed to heal that you never really looked at. And this is your opportunity now, finally. Get rid of the trauma bond and start focusing your attention and energy on yourself. And that is when you start to cultivate self-love, you start to trust yourself, you start to put yourself as priority, and not in this conceited or selfish type of way, but in a self-nourishing way, in a way that asserts boundaries. You're going to start learning about boundaries. And not just learning about boundaries, but knowing how to assert a boundary, knowing how to put forth a consequence if a boundary is broken. And so you'll find that when you end a trauma bond relationship, the healing work that you do afterwards doesn't just only appeal to and apply to the relationship. It applies to your work, your family dynamics. People start to notice that you're changing and you're blooming, and that there's a newfound respect for you. So here's the thing. The person that you thought that they can be only exists in your imagination. right? So the person that they've consistently shown you, on the other hand, that is the reality. So it's time for you to make some decisions based in reality. And I can help you do that. So you don't have to be in a trauma bond for long. I'm hopeful that this content helped you. If you like this content and want more, feel free to ring the bell and hit the subscribe and comment in the comments whatever thoughts you have, whatever questions you have, and I can do a subsequent follow-up video answering the questions that you put in the comments below. Thanks so much and look forward to connecting with you.